Even if I can just get about 10 minutes of this in, it makes a big difference. I feel a lot better after the workout as well. I feel stretched out, I feel a bit more relaxed, feel a bit more open after you have your shower. You just feel pretty good. So, and keeps that flexibility so it doesn't stiffen you up. In the past, I've neglected doing stretching, and when you do, you really do feel it. You end up stiffening up a lot, and it really starts to impact your actual workouts because of the muscle fatigue, just lactic acid building up really fast, and not really developing the full length of muscle. You start to see shortenings and gaps and thinking that why is my certain areas of your muscles ain't really growing or filling out properly. And those are probably the answers for you, is that you haven't really stretched, or you've got a bit of fatigue in the muscles at the same time. You just need to release some tension. What's up guys, I've just finished my workout, mainly focused on my chest, my shoulders, a little bit of biceps. So also getting that tricep hit in there, so more upper body focused. I'm just going to go through a typical stretch routine that I do, because it's very important. That gets missed out when you're doing your workouts, and you end up with a lot of stiffness in the body, can end up with a lot of muscle fatigue. In general, over time, when you're wearing out your muscles, constantly pushing them, they do need a stretch, they need a release. You can easily get knots in them, and you can always have shortenings in the muscle, so you don't get the best muscle capacity growth. So for that, you need to stretch down. So I make sure I do it every single one of my sessions, whether it's even for 10 minutes or like to get more time in, then I try to do them on separate days where I can focus around 20 to 30 minutes, just like you would do on your workouts. Very important. So I'm going to go through the typical stretch that I do after doing an upper body workout. But one of the things I do with every single stretch routine, I find that the legs are the most important to stretch. They're the ones that you can lose the flexibility. They're the ones that can give you that fatigue, and you just need to open up those hips and get those hamstrings loosened up, because day to day we use our legs all the time. So for that reason, they don't get to relax as much as our upper body. So for that reason, legs always a number one for me to make sure I stretch them out. So I'm going to just go and release some upper body tension first, and then spend more time on the legs. So first one, just want to get a little bit of my shoulders here, hit some rear delts. So I'm going to stretch out the rear end of the shoulder as well. So for this one, I'm going to be doing all the exercises just on the floor, so I'm not going to be using any piece of equipment for this one. So I'm going to go with knees down here, just like that on all fours, and then just pass one arm through, and then just bring the other one down. And all you're doing is just keeping the arm straight, and I'm just trying to force that shoulder to touch the mat. So I'm going to run through all the stretches pretty quickly, but each stretch you sort of aim to hold for around 30 seconds, even up to a minute. As much as time that you can give it, that's the more flexibility you're going to get. I'm just going to run through the stretch routine that I'm going to apply. Just after I've run through them, I'm going to go and finish up and do the whole stretch routine. Okay, so you need to hold those for longer. And then just want to get a little bit of chest. I just like to kneel back here. This also just helps a little bit my quads at the same time. So if they're feeling a bit tense here, if you find it very hard to sit down your heels, then you should definitely put this one in all the time and try to get closer to get that stretch in the quads. But yeah, I'm aiming for the chest here, hands behind the back, so kind of overlapping both my hands, and then just forcing my chest out forward, pushing those shoulders back. So it's giving me a front delt stretch, as well as stretching out my chest as well. Going to hit one for the lower back, so just going to seated poses. So for this one, just sort of sitting back on those heels, reaching out as far as you can, and then just pushing back. This time you're going to get a good stretch in your lats, but it's also going to get that stretch in your shoulders. And one of my most important ones is not to forget to stretch out these wrists, these forearms. The amount of times we grip things, when you're grabbing those barbells, those dumbbells, doing push-ups, pull-ups, anything you do, curls, you pretty much always got a very tight grip. And for that reason, you're going to find that a lot of stress in your wrists, a lot of stress in your forearms. You may have had problems where you suffer from weak wrists, sometimes having pain that you can't lift anything. Reason for that is you're never releasing any tension in those wrists. So for that reason, this stretch is very important. Again, just on your all fours here, and you want to turn your hand back on you so your fingers are facing towards your knees. Arms fully locked out straight, so straight through the elbows. And then you're just going to slightly sit back. This one I prefer to rock back and forward, so it's not just a static stretch, just finding a release of tension, little pulses, just going back and forward. You're going to find a very nice stretch going up all the way through your wrist and into your biceps. And I will do the same thing for the front of your forearm. So you hit this, the back area, inside area. So now you want to go hit the front area. So you're still facing those fingers towards your knees, but now it's going to be the front of your hands to the floor. And again, this one's just the same thing, rocking a little bit back and forward. And again, just driving up to the front side of your bicep and that forearm. So this is also a stretch that I do preparing myself for the workout. So if I'm going in for anything, really, if I'm definitely going for a bicep or a tricep workout, going to be doing some pull-ups, I tend to do this stretch prior to the actual workout, because it actually prepares my wrists and my hands ready to sort of grip, so you don't suddenly get some type of instant strain through the wrists. Same thing if you're doing chest push-ups. So pretty much any workout I'm doing upper body, I'll make sure I do that before I start the workout as well. So simple as that. There's only very few. And the last one I do with the shoulders again is targeting the rear part of the shoulder again, just coming across. Very similar to the first one. The first one is just lets you apply that little bit more pressure and see if you've got that flexibility, so get your shoulder to the floor. So again, just holding these stretches longer. So doing this upper body stretch, I'm probably going to aim for around 10 minutes in total. So even if I'm holding them for about 30 seconds to a minute, I might treat it just like I do when you treat your workouts. So I might go for about 2 or 3 rounds of each of those. So you're obviously extending the flexibility, not just having a quick stretch. That doesn't really increase the flexibility. That just kind of releases some tension during the workout period. But you've got to push the stretches a bit more to make sure that you actually maintain or actually increase some flexibility. So I'm going to move into the legs. First one I like to start is definitely get those quads in. So I'm pretty comfortable doing that on the floor. So normally this kind of stretch, this is pretty easy for me, but if you find this is tough, it's stretching at your quads, perfect. That's the kind of stretch that you should go for. I like to go onto the wall to build more flexibility into the thighs. And I always find it hurts my ankles, so I'm going to use another pad. If you've got a wall, you're going to have one foot on the wall. So that back leg bends, foot on the wall. Trying to get your knee closest to the wall as possible as well. That's going to be gives you the maximum amount of flexibility you can get. So I've got quite a bit of a gap there, so I haven't got quite full range. But this, I feel it, and it's enough. I can feel that quad at the top stretching, and I tend to hold that there. Try not to lean forward, try to sit back as much as possible. That's when you feel the stretch a lot. So if you can bring your heel to your buttocks. I would give a little bit more time, especially for the larger muscles. So if you're finding so on the big muscles, it needs a bit more of a stretch. Larger muscles, so take more time. So I try to focus more, like 1, maybe even 2 minutes. And again, don't hold the stretch there. I try to just release some tension. So I may just come forward a little bit, relax it there, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, go back again, and hold that again. And same thing, gonna switch legs. Another way to do this stretch is great if you want to keep this position, if you don't want it on a wall, sometimes just pushing into your foot and your ankle there on a wall. So that's why I've got the soft pad there. Another one I like to do it is on, if you're using a Smith machine in the gym, that's another one. You can just literally hook your foot, if you just set the bar level and put your foot on top of that, and it just sort of sits around there. But you'd like to place probably a bar pad as well, just to get a cushion up there so it's not digging into your ankles. You can use a plyo box, very great in the gym as well if you've got a nice soft plyo box. Just somewhere you can put your foot, feels comfortable to do the stretch, so you're not worried about the pain that's going in your foot, stabbing in from the wall or a bar. So that's hitting the quads. I like to go for the inside, so I'm going to go into the inner hips, and this one is just leaving the pad there, so you can just sit flat against the wall, slightly coming forward. So I don't want my back flat. That makes it kind of awkward to do the actual stretch. So you want to sort of have that gap in there, sit more comfortably with the upper back pushed against the wall. That way you're able to force your knees down here. So get that inner hip stretch. Okay, so again, this is always a tough one. These are the ones that I find that most of you will find very stiff, is the hips. From doing plenty of lunges and squats, it really tightens up your hips, so definitely stretch those out. So here you might just find it really difficult to probably even get this. If it's this far, you might feel like it's pretty much here. So kind of rock side to side. It just starts to warm up the muscle, loosens up a little bit. And once it's feeling pretty good, feel I can push it further, then start to sort of impulses again, pushing both at the same time, so it creates an even better stretch. And just won't go too hard on this one. The last thing you want is a groin pull in that injury, because you can, if you really force it, you're really trying to, don't try get to the finish too quick. Yeah, I know you want to get these hips down, you feel like you want to get them down, but it's not going to happen in one go. It's going to be consistent stretching, day-to-day stretching, and just take your time. So you stretch as much as possible you can, where it feels slightly painful, but it's also very comforting. And then I go for a lower back stretch, which is also going to incorporate my hamstrings. So I go straight out with the legs. So here I'm going to bend the legs first. So slight bend here in the knees, reaching with my feet. I like to grab the hold of the feet. I find it better than trying to force yourself to reach it. And you can't, you're trying to just grab your feet. It just makes the whole stretch uncomfortable. If you haven't got that flexibility, the best thing is to do is bend those knees. Grab hold of your feet. Try and get your palms around the toes there, and then grab your foot as much as possible. Once you've got that, you're going to be stretching in a very good stabilizing position, and then all you have to do is try and straighten your knees. Again, in small pulses, as you're straightening your knees, what you're going to feel is a full stretch going through your calves, going through your hamstrings and into your lower back. So the tightest muscle that you'll find out of all of them is the one that you're going to feel the most. And you'll find that the stretch slightly increases, getting closer and closer to getting those knees down. And you can even hold it there. Short while, maybe like 5-10 seconds, and again just release, and then going into pulses, and again if you want to hold it for a little bit more of a static stretch as well. Alright, then I'm going to go for the glutes, another one that gets really tight because of all the squatting and the lunging. You don't realize how much your glutes get really tight, especially on the outer side. So for that reason, I like to do the spinal stretch here. And normally a spinal stretch is just for your back to open up your spinal area. But you're going to find that if your glutes are tight, you're really going to feel the stretch through your glutes first. This one, lying down flat on your back, one arm out, getting a right angle on one of the legs coming up, the other leg out straight, and then you bring it out to the side. And you're just trying to get your knee to come as far as down towards the floor, and trying to maintain the opposite side shoulder, keeping it down to the ground. Like for me now, I can feel that through the glutes and pretty evenly actually through the back as well. But you might find that you're just feeling it in the glutes and not the back at all. And just swapping over. Right one's tighter for me. I'm getting less range. I could feel actually just the glutes, not my back in this one. And then one last one I'd like to finish off with is going back into that hip stretch. This time trying to cross the leg. I try to cross my legs here, fold the other one across. And here I'm slightly raising myself because I'm trying to bring both knees to touch the floor. And then just slowly lifting myself up and trying to sit back down again, but trying to keep those knees to the floor. Again, a lot of pain in the hips. So you may even struggle with this one if you're finding normally the knees are quite high. Generally when you're doing the alternative hip stretch I showed you, this would probably be a little bit impossible to start off with. So that's basically what I finish off with every single workout that I do. Even if I can just get about 10 minutes of this in, it makes a big difference. I feel a lot better after the workout as well. I feel stretched out, I feel a bit more relaxed, feel a bit more open after you have your shower. You just feel pretty good. So, and keeps that flexibility so it doesn't stiffen you up. In the past I've neglected doing stretching, and when you do, you really do feel it. You end up stiffening up a lot, and it really starts to impact your actual workouts because of the muscle fatigue, just lactic acid building up really fast and not really developing the full length of muscle. You start to see shortenings and gaps and thinking that why is my certain areas of your muscles ain't really growing or filling out properly. And those are probably the answers for you, is that you haven't really stretched or you've got a bit of fatigue in the muscles at the same time. You just need to release some tension. So basically that is it. That's what I finish off with, end of my routines. The only things that will change up is the beginning of the actual stretching. The first part of the stretching is based around the workout that I may have completed. So if I did different muscles, then I make sure I stretch those muscles out first. But the leg exercises that I do for the stretching, I make sure that they are always similar exercises. I might change them around a little bit, but I do focus on trying to get all around leg stretch. That's very important, because I like to keep that flexibility in the legs, or actually gain more flexibility. So it's very important, and it does keep you more active, more mobile, less fatigue in the body. So I think that's very important to definitely get those leg stretches in. And that is it, end of this video. So make sure you don't forget to subscribe, guys, and click that like button if you like this video, and check out more content on my YouTube channel. But don't forget, guys, keep working out and keep strong.